Hello, 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 hello. Listen, oh my goodness, there is something big coming. We are actually on the road heading out. This is the first time we're taking a road trip in my new Porsche Macan. Yes, that's why it's so quiet. Electric is amazing when it comes to these things. Let me just say, we are heading to the Hermes boutique. You already knew that. You knew that if I'm sitting here in this vehicle saying something big is about to happen and it's a road trip, you know what it means. Okay? Look at my hair. Look at it. Honey, I don't know what she was trying to do this morning, but I told her she could do whatever she wanted to as long as I could put a bobby pin in the front to try to position my bangs. We were all good. That was the agreement, so I'm letting her do her due. You know things are going to look different because I'm in a vehicle. I'm using my Sony EVZ10. I don't recall what it's actually called to record all this. So you know, throughout this process, I am going to do my best. I promise you, I will not be a lazy content creator this go around. I'm going to do my best to capture as much as I can of what's about to take place for you all. So I will be switching between my Sony, my DJI Osmos Pocket 3, and my phone so that you know the quality will shift and change, but I hope it still comes together very nicely. I'm trying to do multiple things at one time. We'll see how successful I am. But of course, today I had to carry my Birkin 30 in Cellier in black with platinum hardware. Yes, it was very fitting for the occasion. Now, you know, I just said that this is the first time we took a road trip. So we're going to check and see how fast Hubs is really driving. Yeah, I said it. We are going to do this. Hold on one second. Let's check. And here we are. Okay, he's doing a decent speed. Let me check. What's the speed limit? Let me see. Okay, he's doing okay. Listen. Okay, now he's trying to show off. Okay, yeah, we see what's happening here. We see what's happening. Let's go ahead and let's stop watching him. It's getting dangerous for all of us. But did you see him? Did you see how he was trying to speed up? Because I was showing you all that, yeah, I have to clock him. Someone has to, okay? Because just you get it. You understand. Enough of that. Let's get into it. Okay. Do I want to pull my hair down some? I don't know. Or pull it back a little bit. Let's see. Hello. Yvette Sojourner here. Listen, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. How is all this goodness going to be spread across the YouTubeverse and the interweb? This is the place in the space where luxury meets authenticity. Hello to all of you. Oh my goodness. I am here to talk about something very, very special, but at the same time, as always, I'm going to get real with you regarding this subject matter because that's all I know how to be. Do you hear me? How do you like the hair? See, all that time it's been wrapped up makes perfect sense now, right? Now I can wear her down. The only agreement we have is that she can do whatever it is she wants to do. As you can see, I put a bobby pin at the front just so it doesn't dangle into my eyes as I speak with all of you. Listen, you already know I'm going to talk. I am going to talk in this video. That is what I do. But I want to give everyone who is not interested in that a forewarning. Yes, I need you to know. Today, something very special has happened. I am not even sure if I'm going to use the clip that I created when this was all happening. Maybe I will, I don't know. We shall see. But as far as today is concerned, yes, big announcement, big things are happening. And yeah, some real honest moments, some transparency moments will be happening. Okay, so let's get into this. I have been invited by my Hermes SA to place a special order. Yes, listen, a few of you mentioned this when I was preparing to reveal the mini Kelly. At that moment, when I read those comments, I didn't think much about it. I just was like, yeah, you know, maybe one day. But because of all of you, I did end up reaching out to my SA. I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's get into the special order discussion first. Let's do that. So some call it a special order, some call it a la carte, and occasionally it's called the HSS, which is the horseshoe stamp. And that is the horseshoe stamp that is placed on special order bags. And some call it the horseshoe club. So those are some of the names that people use when they're talking about a special order from Hermes. So the special order is when you are invited to go into the boutique and choose or select how you want your bag to look. So the bag is specifically made for you based on your specifications. That is ultimately what a special order is. So ultimately, you get a custom-made Hermes bag. And when I say custom-made, there are a number of things that go into this, and that is what I'm trying not to get ahead of myself and sharing with you. So I'm going to keep going before I go ahead and just divulge everything. Let's just keep going. Let me look at my notes, because if I don't, I'll talk forever. And listen, some people are not here for that, but okay. Let's just continue. Special orders are placed twice a year, and it is in the spring and the fall, I believe. So each individual boutique is designated a certain number of invitations that they are allowed to give out. Now, as of recently, I did hear that there are even more restrictions when it comes to who is permitted to place a special order. So I don't know all the details when it comes to this. I'm just going to share what I have heard from those that I know, and ultimately also from reading. What I've heard is that if you're new, meaning you haven't placed a special order before, then you are more likely to be invited to place a special order. Then I've also heard that if you are VVIP, you can also place a special order more frequently than those who may not be. I personally do not know what that looks like, because I will get to my story shortly, but I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if either of those scenarios are true, or if anything that is being shared out in the world of Hermes, if any of it's true, I don't know. What I do know is that this was my first special order. That's ultimately what I can say regarding that subject matter. So how I got invited, as I mentioned, I was preparing to reveal my mini Kelly, and a number of you reached out in the comments saying and guessing that it was a special order, and then someone else was just like, it should be time for you to get a special order. I appreciate all those comments, because maybe that added to the universe responding and hearing this. What I will say is, I was not really looking for a special order. I cannot say it was at the top of my list. It's not even something I really considered. I was curious. So after chatting with a friend who had recently received an invitation herself, I was like, I wonder if I would even be considered or qualified, whatever it may be. So I sent my SA a message. Actually, I sent her a message asking about the special order, but then also how to get invites to different events like the runway show and so on and so forth. She responded and she was like, oh, yes, you were absolutely yes to all of that for you. Yes to all of that. So I know for sure when it came to special order, yeah, if I were interested, it would be something that would be in my future. So I left it at that, didn't think any more of it, and went about my life. This is how it typically works with Hermes. A few weeks later, my essay sent me a message and she was just like, good news, you have been invited to create a special order. This is good news. It is hands down great news. For some, this would be fabulous. It would be fabulous news. I know that this is a rare situation and so on and so forth. For me, this is where I'm going to get very honest and be extremely transparent with you, okay? For me, it was a dilemma. It was a dilemma. Do you hear me? It was a big dilemma. I am going to share why. First things first is I hadn't really considered an invitation for a special order at all. At that point, when I sent the question and received the invitation, I had not considered it. It's just not something that was on my list. I just felt that it was going to be so far in the future, I did not even need to think about it right now. That's the best way for me to put it. So I was kind of concerned on so many different levels, I wasn't in a rush. And I have to really emphasize that. I was not in a rush because in my mind, this would be like years down the road, this would happen. So I was not rushing and I did not have something already curated in my mind. That's just not how it worked for me. The other thing is, a number of the bags that interest me are bags that I'm being offered. So I really didn't feel that there is a need for me to create a special order. I mean, I love certain things and I am very aware that these are classic items, being neutral bags, palladium hardware, right? So I've been offered so many bags that fit in that category that I was comfortable. I was comfortable with waiting to see what would be presented down the line. And a special order just was not something I was considering. That's me being as honest as possible about what happened. And this is where it gets really interesting. So I had to really think about this. And I was so tempted to decline the invitation because I felt, well, if I decline it, then, I would get another invitation some time in the future where I would potentially be more prepared for creating that signature bag, that special order bag, right? Also, I did not want to rob someone else who had this dream for so long of the experience. I know, right? What? Yes, this is how I process things, Yvette Sojourner. I feel that if someone else is out there dreaming and they already have it a mock-up in their mind of what the bag is going to look like, why not give it to them? Why not give them the invitation? Because like I said, I'm just really comfortable with the offerings that I've been getting. And what I cringe and dread is that a bag that I create is offered to me. That's one of the biggest nightmares for me personally. That's one of my biggest nightmares. So I had to really think about this. And of course I chatted up hubs, I chatted up with friends and really bounced the ideas off. But in the end, I had to make a decision on my own, separate of all of that. Listen, Hubs was not hearing it. He was like, no, you are placing a special order. And if you want to wait until XYZ, you'll have another special order placed in the future. You will get another invitation, but do not decline this one. So he was not having it. So of course we went ahead and we scheduled our appointment. Our appointment ended up being the following week. So was a very quick turnaround. Once again, I do not know how this all works. I was thinking maybe it would be like when I came back from France. I don't know. But my essay was on it. She was like, okay, next week, this day, I will see you then, period. So she and Hubs were very aligned when it came to this happening. Leading up to my appointment, I was practicing my nose. I was practicing my nose throughout the day, every day leading up to that. And Hubs actually caught me at one point and was like, why are you doing this? And I said, because I know, in my heart of hearts, I know that because my essay was going to be there, but then also the boutique manager was going to be there, I knew they would try to challenge me in deciding or picking something that was extremely different than what I would want. So I was practicing my nose, honey. I was not going to play around with that. I knew what I wanted somewhat. I knew what I didn't want. Let's put it that way. I knew what I didn't want, and I was not going to submit to something I did not want to make someone else happy. This is something that I have to live with and say that I created myself for me, and something I will want to carry and have in my wardrobe for a long time. If you know nothing else about me, you know I love having classic staples in my wardrobe for a reason. Do you hear me? So I was practicing those no's, honey. Even for Hubs, I told him, I was like, I may even have to tell you no. So I'm just preparing myself to say no to everyone and everything. At my appointment, yes. Okay, so we drive down, road trip, fabulous. We get there to the boutique, and immediately I asked for the box, the infamous special order box. Now, mind you, today they do everything on the iPad so that you can see it in all its glory once it is complete, but also as you're building it. So that's very, very nice. But I wanted to also see the box because everyone talks about it, and it's been such a staple in the process for so long. I was just curious if it was there, if I could see it, if we could pull some things from it, and we did, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It was like a burgundy, a deep red box. Yes, they pulled it out, and it was sitting there ready. So with the bags, there are a number of different bags outside of quota bags that one can select as well. So for instance, I know I saw a Picotin. I saw some others. I will list them below so that you can see the names of those bags as well that you can place a special order for. Typically, most people choose between the Kelly, the Birkin, and the Constance. So it would be the Birkin 25, 30, 35, and 40. The Kelly 20, 25, 28, 32, and 35. And of course the Constance. Yes, these are what typically are selected, but there are more options available outside of the quota bags, so that you know and you are aware. Here are the things that you can customize on a bag. So of course, the type of bag, which I just covered, the size of the bag, which I also mentioned, the leather, the color. So when it comes to the color, there are 3 categories. There's line, and that is just the stitching. So the stitching of the bag contrasting with the actual color of the leather. So then you have multico, which is bicolor. And I believe that's, for instance, the front of the bag is one color and then the side of the bag is a different color. I believe that is Multico. And then you have Verso. And that's when the outside of the bag is one color and the inside of the bag is a completely different color. You can also customize the hardware. And that was nice because, of course, you have gold, you have palladium, but then now there is the brush option. I saw both of those and it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. It was different. Stitching color, you can select so many colors when it comes to the stitching. The shoulder strap length as well. And I know that is very important for so many people, especially if you are a taller person, then yes, you can definitely get the longer strap. So for the shoulder strap, you have the 70 centimeter, the 85 centimeter, the 105 centimeter, and the 120 centimeter. My suggestion and recommendation for you, if you're invited, is to do this. Bring in a bag that you can easily, I don't know, they have straps that you can actually see the length. So typically that may be good enough for some. I needed something to attach to it so that I can actually see where the bag would fall if I decided to choose that type of bag. I think that would be a very wise choice. So if you have a bag, for instance, if you already own a Kelly or an Evelyn, take that with you. You don't have to carry it that day, just bring it along so that when you have the straps, you can actually attach it and see where it falls on you. That's a tip that would be useful to so many. Now, I have to say, my essay was there for the entire process, and so was the boutique manager. They did not leave my side at all, and they chimed in so many times. See, that is exactly why I practiced my nose. There are restrictions when it comes to the a la carte menu. It all is based on the colors that Hermes puts out as far as the menu is concerned. So there are select colors, and this can get very complicating because certain bags have certain color options, whereas others may not, if that makes sense. And it's the same with the hardware. There is an example that while I was there, there's a bag that you cannot get the brushed hardware on. And I asked out of curiosity because you just don't know the limitations unless someone has gone through it and can share it with you. So while I was there, I had already in my mind a number of questions to ask so that I could share it with all of you. So I always have all of you in mind when I am going through these processes. And this is one of those situations where I was like, so for this hardware, what bags can you get with this hardware or with this color versus that color? And that is a big thing. Like, some colors are not available depending on the bag that you select, and also the size. And it's the same with the leathers as well. So a great example of this is the mini Kelly Cellier. One cannot select brush hardware for that. Or the Kelly Pochette only came in Swift leather. So those are things for you to know when you go in. Just be open, go in with something in mind, but be open to there may possibly be limitations. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. So we're at the appointment. I'm asking all these questions. The box is next to me. Just, I'm in the moment, just taking it all in, taking my time. And I immediately share with my essay and the boutique manager my concern being, okay, I can't see myself creating a special order because a lot of the bags that I want are already being offered to me. So I'm not in a rush. Maybe the invitation should go to someone else. They immediately shut me down and were like, absolutely not. This is happening. So then I asked about exotics. I was like, well, is it possible to order an exotic? My essay and the boutique manager are amazing, they were like, no, that is not an option, because, you know, we only get so few of those that this go round you wouldn't be authorized and exotic. That was fine with me, and it's fine because it's something I didn't even consider. Like, exotics has not been something that is on my list. It's just not something that I even considered. Under the circumstance, I was making an exception for this because up until this point, I have not really been offered any exotics except for ostrich. But I have to say, in the grizz, I guess, I don't know if that's considered an exotic or not, but I will say, I'm not asked. It has not been on my list. And I know my essay felt some kind of way potentially. If you're watching, I hope you're watching this. I know she may have felt some kind of way because it's not something we've ever discussed. But because this was a special order, I wanted to make sure that it would be unique to me and for me. I really, really wanted that. And because exotics were off the table, that complicated things for me, because I just could not see placing a special order for a bag that could potentially be offered to me. I just felt some kind of way about that. So they quickly reassured me it'll be fine, we will find something, we'll work through it. And then the boutique manager was like, what about ostrich? Now, at this point, we know I do my homework, okay? If I do nothing else, I will research something. Listen, so you know where I'm going with this. So they mentioned ostrich, and I'm standing there and I'm like, oh yeah, really? So I knew ostrich is not an option. I was not going to say that because, as I mentioned before, when I go into the boutique, I always have all of you in mind, and I wanted to see how this played out. So we go through the process. We're selecting everything, all the things. Then we go and hit submit. It did not work. We could not submit the bag. Because ostrich is no longer available on the special order menu. So of course they were surprised. The boutique manager was very, very surprised. And my essay, on the other hand, she was like, I kind of heard that. And at that point I was like, I heard it too. I heard it. So she had her assistant go and do some research, and yes, it is true. Okay, we all knew it, but this one right now, for now, because you know things change, tomorrow it could be available again, I don't know. And like I said, I do not have a doctorate or any type of degree from the Hermes University. I do not get invited to those sealed documents that come from Hermes. Do you hear me? I wish they would send me the memo. They do not. So ostrich is not available. That is what I quickly learned in that moment. So of course we had to start all over. I wasn't mad, I wasn't upset, I was not disheartened. I just was like, okay, that's good information for my community. Because if it would have worked, I would have been able to be like, listen, this is what happened for me. This is my situation. So, but yes, it seems like that is ringing true. That rings true, okay? That checks out, okay? I've done my homework for all of you. Listen, I was not happy in that moment because I was like, ostrich would have worked. It would have worked. I know. I turned down an ostrich mini Constance, but that scenario is very different than this one. This is me making something especially for me. Whereas a mini Constance did not check the boxes because my phone just would not fit into that mini Constance. So yeah, now, you know, I just wanted to make sure whatever I created was something that was truly unique. And that was very, very challenging for me. It was very challenging. The other thing that was nice is that you can get your initials, which I know people have talked about this in the past, on the bag in the front. I saw that in one unboxing during the special Hermes event that I attended last year. A person had their special order revealed to them, and I saw the initials. It was really nice. The other option, though, is that I wasn't aware of. You can actually get your initials put on the shoulder strap as well. There are two different types of fonts that were available. One was more of a modern look. The other one was more of a typewriter, more classic look. And the number of letters or slots available, I don't know exactly how many letters, for example, that you can put. But I know that when we chatted about it, they gave the example of birth dates or initials, periods in between, no periods in between. So just so that you have the information. So my process at the beginning of all of this was determining what I did not have already in my wardrobe. So for instance, I knew that for me, well, it all depended. So let's go with what I don't already have in my wardrobe. I do not have a Birkin 25 in all black. I don't have that. But because I already have two other Birkin 25s, that I kind of put on a shelf. So what's really missing from my wardrobe is a Kelly 25, a Kelly Pochette, and a mini Kelly. Even though I just revealed a mini Kelly, it's in E-taupe, but I'm talking, if I were to get a mini Kelly, definitely would be black with palladium hardware. Of course, all of them would have palladium hardware. But those are the three styles of bags that really were on my list when I started the process of, okay, what do I want? What would work for me? What am I missing? That's always how I start. I also narrowed down the color and the leather as well relatively quickly, and that is because I have a number of bags already in various leathers, and I also have some small leather goods, so I had a very good idea of what type of leather I wanted. And of course I knew, well, I had a list of colors, so I knew what colors I was going for as well. But you're gonna have to wait on all of that. That you'll have to wait for. Now we already know whatever bag I get is gonna have palladium hardware and not brush. I am not interested in brush hardware. I just am not. I looked at it. It looks very nice. It is cute, but I'll stick with the classics. So it will be palladium. Yes. Oh my gosh. Woo! I love it. Gives me chills every time. The other thing I did was I asked my SA and the boutique manager what they thought would be the hardest bag to get, because they know a majority of the time what will be available and what is not. And of the three bags, just so you are aware, they were really reassuring me that a Kelly 25 and a Kelly Pochette would happen. So that's just information. It appears Mini Kelly is still one of those hard to get bags, which is really interesting because I just revealed a Mini Kelly. So I don't know, once again, it's all cryptic. I don't know, but what I do know is I did end up selecting something and submitting a special order. I did. And I am very excited and sure that this will be in my wardrobe for the long haul. I know that much. Let me say this, by the end of my session, I have a feeling that my SA and the boutique manager has gained a very, very, very clear understanding of who I am and my tastes. Listen, yes, pink was thrown in there, yellows, all the colors was thrown at me, and I was just like, nah, all right. Some, some, yes. Like when I saw there was, I can't say the exact colors. If I can, I'll add the sheet of what colors, some of the colors that were available. But I was looking at the navies. Oh my gosh, navies, the burgundies. Oh my goodness. There are some colors that just the ivory tones just pulled me in. I was just so willing. So yes, we'll leave it at that. Even there was some grays. Oh my gosh, I love the grays. So there were a lot of offerings for me, but then there were a lot of offerings for people who, you know, you want to jazz it up, you know, do some pops of color. Yes, it was all available to you. It was all available. But once again, it's very limited as far as the offerings. It is based on what Hermes allows during that season. So, questions. I don't know what questions you may have, but I found some, and let's get into some of the questions that some people may have. How long does it take the special order to arrive? Generally, it's approximately 6 to 18 months. It all depends, and if it's an exotic, it's longer. When does a client pay for the special order? Ultimately, and this is once again my understanding, you pay once the bag arrives. Not beforehand, but once it arrives. And this poses another question. What is the cost of a special order? The special order actually costs the same as any other bag made with the same specifications. So I have a Birkin 30 Cellier in Epsom leather. Let's say I decided, well, I want that, but I want it with pink and then on the sides yellow instead of just all black, right? If I were to do a special order like that with the pink and the yellow, it would cost the same as the Birkin 30 Cellier that I currently already have. Does Hermes ever reject or abandon an order? And I have to say, I did hear years ago this happening, and it was for, I believe it was an exotic leather, maybe croc in a pink. They had a short supply, so the orders were not fulfilled, and the clients had to select something else in that instance. What happens if a client rejects a special order? Listen. Things happen, life happens, right? So if at the time the bag arrives and you're just not feeling the excitement and loving it, it is okay. You can reject the special order. What ends up happening is, and this is me making an assumption, I'm not really sure, but I believe the bag is then taken and allocated to the boutique and they can sell it to someone else. I wonder what happens if your initials are on it though. Yeah, that part I don't know. But yes, you do not have to accept the special order once it arrives. I mean, life happens. Life happens. Hermes understands that. Now, this is a good question. What happens to the special order if you have already met your quota for the year? What happens? It all depends on the boutique manager and their discretion. They may make an exception and allow you still to get the special order, or they can hold the bag until the new year. Those are the options. I don't know of any other. If you know of anything else that I'm not saying in this video, please share it below. We need to inform our community so that they are equipped, so if an invitation comes to them or if they are interested, they have the information. So yes, I placed a special order. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I will share some clips throughout this of what had transpired, some of the things that I saw, and I want to share with you to make sure to include you. But that's it. I do have this to share, but that's you will have to wait for. So yeah, the special order will not arrive for 6 to 18 months, and that's just a rough estimate. So you will not hear anything more about that unless I'm giving some type of update. Then of course, I will do another video to inform you of how that is going. I am excited because now I think my SA is fully aware of what my goal is futuristically when it comes to a special order. So I'm hoping that it will happen again, and this time it will be more of an exotic. That will be the most spectacular thing if I can do an exotic in a special order. But we shall see. I mean, only time will tell, and I'm okay with waiting. So after this video will be the unboxing of the items that I picked up, and then after that will be my pack with me, because it is time. I need to pack and get ready for all these things that I have lined up. So thank you so much for joining me as always. Until next time.